Hey, it's Mike again with the 66 split bus. I wanted to do a video about the full flow oil system that I put in place in my 1904 engine build, and kind of show exactly what the parts of it are and why I did that. So let's take a look. The 1904 engine is right here, and you can see I have a little plate here that shows all of the details of it. Basically, it has a 74 millimeter stroke, 90.5. So I misspoke the other time when I said it was a 78, so it's a 74. 59 cc chamber, and it has a 218 cam, and that's basically it. Now what I did is I put in a 30 millimeter oil pump because, and that, let's see if it's possible to even see it here. Here's the oil pump right here, and that's a little too close here. Let's see. And the deal here is that the full flow pulls your oil out in this this one right here, goes out from the oil pump here, and I go under the exhaust and into here, which goes into my oil filter. Now, normally it would just come back in to the engine in this one here and dump the oil right back into the engine. However, what I did, because what was happening is a couple of times I went over like 200 to 210 degrees, and I thought, why is it running so hot? And the reason, it was probably because of my timing, and it was probably had nothing to do with the actual engine build running hotter or anything like that. But what I did at the time was I thought, oh, I'll put an external oil cooler on it. It already has a doghouse, so it should have been cooling fine. But what I did is I put in this plate here, which goes in between your where the oil comes in and your oil filter. And this plate here has a thermostat that supposedly at 180 degrees starts sending the oil out this and then comes back here. And now let's look at where it goes. So it goes, you see these guys here, so it's coming from my back left corner of my bus. It's coming there, goes up under where the wheel is and the shock and all that, and goes back all the way over there. So goes up behind the driver's side. So let's walk over there. So going back down over here, you can see oil lines running down here, through here, and it runs here to the external oil cooler. Now this oil cooler I mounted with some aluminum pieces here that go right into the bottom frame, and this oil cooler then has another thermostat here, which at 180 degrees turns on this fan. And here there's kind of like a air cooling thing that the oil runs sort of back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and it dumps the heat. So what is interesting is that ever since I put in this oil cooler, and I tested this fan as well, and the fan works, and this thermostat is supposed to only turn the fan on at 180 degrees. And as I mentioned, over here by the oil filter, that thing is only supposed to send oil at 180 degrees to the fan. So I don't even know if the oil is actually coming down here. But I will say this, ever since I put this in, and I also redid my timing, I have not even been able to get the fan to turn on, because I can't even get it over about 150, 160 degrees, even if I drive it for an hour. So the engine oil is staying very cool, which is the whole purpose. And I know some purists would not like putting an external oil cooler like this. It's also kind of odd to route my oil like 6 feet up from the back of the bus into there and back, but it does the trick, and the oil in this stays very, very cool. So what else is part of this oil system? So, you know, obviously you get your dipstick here and your oil filler with your air box setup. So that's part of it. And I've got an additional piece here, which is this thing here at the bottom, which holds an extra, I don't know what it is, quart and a half of oil in this sump. So that allows it to just have generally more oil in it, and supposedly might keep it a little cooler or take longer to heat up. So that's the sump. Then I've got 2 gauges that I put in place, the oil pressure and the oil temperature. So let's see if I can see the fender. Let's see, where is it? This here, let's see, right there is one of them. It's the oil pressure, that's the oil temperature, and the oil pressure, oil temperature, both have the sending sensors on the engine, and then they run all the way up here to the bus dashboard, where you can see I have oil pressure here, oil temperature here, and as I said, I can't even get it past the 180 now with all the setup there with the extra cooler. And then here is my oil pressure. The interesting thing is, on a cold day it'll start out like at about 60, and then it'll get down. It always gets just under 40 when everything is warm and running well and everything. It's always just right in between 30 and 40, and that's again with a 30 millimeter pump and all this that extra oil and that whole setup. One extra thing that I wanted to point out was I had 2 kind of disastrous things happen, and it all had to do with routing my oil lines. So if you look under here, routing these oil lines, but I've got very hot exhaust here, and initially I had run these oil lines one in between here, and they were actually the rubber lines and had some insulation on them. But what happens is, when the oil gets really hot, it makes rubber lines or even high temperature, high pressure lines, they start to sag a little bit. And then I had one touch hot muffler and it started leaking. It leaked out all my oil. Twice I leaked out all my oil before I got smart, and I got steel braided lines here with the fittings that screw on there, and that I would recommend to anyone doing this. I mean, and then I got these holders, which are these double holders for the AN8 lines, and I just put a ton of those on there. I think I put like 10 or 12 of them on there the entire way back, and that just holds these things in place. So that is my oil system. And as I mentioned, it works great. I put an extra 1.5 quarts in there and keeps the engine cool. And that's it for the oil system on this vehicle. So I will think up another thing to do a video about and talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.